All right, special meeting continued, North Smithfield Town Council, June 27, 2023. Madam Chair, Clerk, can you start us with a prayer and pledge?
Madam, could you please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in a spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Beauregard?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton?
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Here.
Mr. Ogier?
Here.
Ms. Alves?
Yeah, here. So do we have to say discussion of continuation of the budget, or just skip down to method of tax? Anyone want to discuss the budget again? No? Everyone's all set? So the next one is discussion by council vote or other action on method of tax collection. Thank you.
Yes. Can I start?
What's that?
So today, after you guys adopted the budget last night, I went and did some proposed tax rates for you. If you see on the sheet I passed out, there's 3 on here. The first one shows that the weighted percent of all categories are the same, but that does show a big increase for tangible. The second one is a relief for commercial and tangible, and it shows real estate a little higher. I'm recommending the last proposed one. It shows that all categories will increase by 40 cents.
So what's the, oh, sorry, excuse me, may I? The ratio for the last one, are we sure that we're in that range of where we need to be? Do we have any flexibility to move that a little bit?
You can, but the point of the last proposal is that it's equal across the board. But if you want to put a little bit more on commercial, you can, but we're set where I can't go more than 1.5% more than the real estate, and 2.25 on tangible.
Okay.
I know the second proposal, I'm right on the 2.25 on the tangible.
Okay.
And you're recommending the last one, am I right?
Yes.
Just for reference sake, what are the rates now?
They're right on that sheet in the corner.
Oh, yeah, yep, didn't see that, thank you.
It's okay.
So basically, the bottom one is just a straight 40 cents for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not a reval year. A lot there were some permits this year, well, several permits this year, but it's not like a big reval year. Market's still crazy, but it wasn't a reval year, so.
It's a lot easier to transition the rates when it's a reval year. Move the rates
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, but the town still skews primarily residential. I mean, we've been down this road before. It's 70% residential. I mean, I'm all for giving some relief to commercial, but to say it's a 40-cent increase across the board, I kind of more or less favor option one. I mean, you know, yeah, it's not a reval year, but there will be a reval year. And if the residential rate keeps impacting and keeps going up, I know it adjusts based on the assessed values, et cetera, but, you know, we're going to be passing increases every year. I like to try to keep that number a little lower if we have the possibility to do it.
You had told me, Jen, you had told me when we were upstairs earlier, before I left, was it the last reval or the last year, we gave a break to who?
Residential. It all went to residential.
And residential usually has, with every residential, we have how many kids per house? What, like 1.5 or something? 1.5? And with every 1.5 kid, we have a expense for education. So tangibles directly relates to businesses. We don't have a lot of businesses in North Smithfield. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just pointing out adding more light to different aspects of the 3 different options.
I agree, but, well, I don't agree because I don't know the numbers, but in that regard. But when you look at the commercial and you look at the tangible, I mean, I don't think our rates, commercially wise, and, you know, maybe we should have had more numbers here to look at, but, you know, I don't think they're out of the world not competitive enough, where it's to the point where you're like, you know what, we really need to cut some commercial here because we're at a disadvantage. I mean, Smithfield's tangible, I believe, is higher than ours. They're doing just fine with business. I mean, you know, it's you know, we have to figure out why we're not getting more commercial. I don't think it's part of the rate. You know, maybe it's probably more or less how we market properties, et cetera. But, you know, I think, yeah, I mean, families are struggling. I mean, you look at it, it's not cheap to live. I mean, yeah, things may be improving in the economy. They may not. You don't know. It's all a guess. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, just to give 40 cents across the board, or, you know, I definitely don't favor option 2. But I think we have to take that into consideration.
Do we have a copy of this that we can put on the screen? So people can see if they're going to look at this?
No,
Wanna
I
make a
literally
decision?
have just been working on this all day.
Okay.
I just stopped like 10 minutes ago.
And I understand your point about the 1.5 kids per household, but I don't know, we have a high rate of seniors in this town too, so
I wasn't trying to disagree. I was just
Yeah.
wanted to add more light
yeah,
to
no,
it.
I understand, but
Yeah.
you know, you have young families and you have seniors, which, you know, they're struggling too, so.
Right, yeah, it's not just young
Yeah.
families, it's
Council
everybody.
President, I'd like to clarify something. The 1.5 was a informal survey done in subdivisions, which are more appealing to families as opposed to, there are children throughout the town, so it's not 1.5, it's much less than 1, but it's 1 something. But that 1.5 is in subdivisions that are more conducive for kids.
So just for people who are watching and not able to see this, the current tax rate for real estate is 13.914. And one of the proposals we have in front of us is real estate going from 13.914 to 14.246. Then having commercial going from 18.944 to 19.399. And then the tangibles would actually go down. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The tangibles would be 4262 and going to 4363.
1 point.
So it's a 2.39 increase, right?
No,
Is
that
what you're-
2.39 is just the weighted, because We obviously have a lot more real estate in the town than businesses.
Mhm.
So
So you're
that's
doing it
just
across the board?
across the board, yep.
So can you just repeat that thing again? So you said commercial, you can only do 1.5% above what?
Real
Residential.
estate,
Above the real estate, what we set for real estate?
yeah.
And then tangible, you can go up to 2.25 above the real estate, that what we set?
No, we can't
the
go,
commercial.
the 2.25 is commercial.
So it goes from like.
So it-
Oh, so it goes up, so it's residential, then 1.5 commercial, and then from commercial to
2
tangible, you can go up to 2.25
Right.
from commercial?
And
Okay.
you can go in between there, right, but not to exceed the 2.25.
See, I think what we also have to consider, though, is the people, it's not three different entities here. The people that are paying the commercial are also paying the tangible. You know what I mean? So they're getting, right?
Could be.
They're gonna get a break next year too.
What's that?
I mean, that's part of the law that's changing too, right? The tangible.
Possibly. It's not fully gone. It should.
Didn't it get signed?
I don't think it's.
I thought the governor signed the budget, so unless that hasn't been signed.
And I think that goes in effect at fiscal year 25, if
But no, I
it
mean,
does pass.
I agree with John saying, but there is gonna be a break there, right? Up to 100,000. I don't think we have too many companies in town, but I mean, we would need to see the data, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm for doing that, but I'm saying we should consider that fact that the people that are paying the commercial are also paying the tangible, so they're getting hit twice. So it is something to consider.
They depreciate the tangibles though.
Right.
So, it's, permission to speak to the council? Thank you. One thing to keep in mind is all taxes are regressive, and if you were to pass on a higher tax rate to commercial and/or tangible, that just gets passed on to the residential. I mean, and to make up their I'm running the business, I've got to raise a breakfast 20 cents to cover my taxes.
Yeah.
That just gets passed on to the residents and people that frequent our restaurants. That's an analogy we can make. So just keep that in mind, because I've always been a proponent of taking care of the residents, but I didn't, a couple of years back when it was pretty much, it was on the backs of the residents, I had a problem with it. Increasing the residential tax rate and giving commercial a break. I am all pro-business. I've made my career in business, teaching business. I understand it. I think I understand it. So just consider that when you look at about how aggressive it will be, because if you tax businesses too much, it's getting passed on to the residents or the people that frequent the businesses for service and product.
The other side to that is just, as we're talking about it, is, you know, I agree that businesses will pass those expenses through, but the other thing that we have to be mindful of is people nowadays aren't necessarily committed to a specific town. I mean, you look at it and you have a young family and the tax rate starts to creep up and you're looking at another town where maybe it's more favorable or comparable, people may move. Seniors, we've heard seniors may have to leave housing because the tax rate's getting too high. That translates to lost revenue, and at the end of the day, I'd rather have a steady tax base from the residential side, knowing that, you know, it's something that's reliable. Businesses also can come and go. They're gonna move to where it's favorable. I mean, that's why they incorporate in other states. I mean, I agree. I think if we were, I'd be more comfortable with the commercial and the tangible if we had like a plan that said like, all right, by changing it, we know we're gonna attract like a Fidelity or something like that, some big development that's gonna come in and help, but and offset and, you know, do the things that other communities can do. But I think right now it's too uncertain at times, and I think to just pass that heavily onto the resident, I think is tough.
Well, and I think we have to think, which comes into the 3 to 5 year projections that we talk about all the time, looking ahead. If we're asking people to commit to bonds coming up, you know, we want to make sure that we have a favorable economic environment for them, and they're not overly taxed so that they don't look favorably upon, you know, things that are coming down the pike. So that's another thing too, right?
One of the things to keep in mind as far as commercial, the town passed a tax abatement, a tax stabilization plan for commercial. Now, the question will be, because it's coming before you, either you're gonna do a 5-year or a 10-year. It's up to council. First year, 0 tax. Second year, if it's 5 years, first year, 0 tax, 20, 40, 60, till they get up to 100%. That helps new businesses get established, get their feet wet, get their institutional knowledge going, get the personnel in there. That's huge. We have not had many new businesses come in. I can enumerate them now, but I won't because it's online. But there are some businesses that have taken advantage of it. That's one thing, as elected officials, we certainly can promote to people that want to start their business and talk it up. The building official and the planning official are well aware of this program for new business, and we promote it. So, yeah, so just think about that for tax stabilization for new businesses.
So can we get some idea for us as a team here, if it were to be a 14.246 rate, what would that translate to, like a $300,000 house, or 350 or 400? Can we get an idea, just to get an idea before we
I
make
don't-
that decision? Because we
I don't
can't
have
make.
my,
14, yeah,
Yeah.
14.26
So just-
times 300.
Yeah,
just
So just-
$14 times.
5,000, I think. Yeah, 350 times 14 point, oh, I messed that up.
So the
14.4.
13.914 is what we have now, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
And if we're proposing, let's take the
Yeah.
first proposal of 14.246, well, how
More
much of an increase is that for the average home? And what do we
Well,
want to
it's
use? Is
30
it
cents a
power.
33
Yeah.
cents a thousand,
33 cents a thousand?
but I don't
Yeah.
have my calculator to do.
So if you do 400,000, the last amount was 55.65, so now 14.
Yeah, that's, I want to see the difference.
It's 56, so it's not really that much of a change. Oops. So,
55.65 is what you said, right?
yeah, 55.65 minus, it's only like $133. I mean, not only, but yeah, it's 133.
All right, so did you hear that?
Mhm.
133 on the average. What are you using as a dollar amount for
400.
400?
That's easy in this town, getting a $400,000
Yeah.
house. is-
What?
$400,000 house is pretty common around here.
Right, that's probably
Right.
the, the
Kind of
median, I
Yeah.
would think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. All right, so that
See,
would be,
I,
go ahead.
I hear what Doug's saying, and I agree with him. I just look at that 101, that's a big jump in tangibles, for someone that owns a business. It's a big ask.
Check my numbers, would you? Try to say something.
The rest of it I don't have a problem with, it's just that 101, it's a big number.
Come up with that. You get a $300,000 house times 100, we come up with this. We subtract that piece.
So the second one would be a difference of $167, and the last one would be $159. That's on a residential.
What's the change in the tangible?
And then you gotta do this one.
Okay, so 133, 167, 159, just real estate, right? Just residential?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So just residential?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 133, 167,
67,
159.
159.
$99, right? So, Madam President, this is the first I've seen, Jen was working on this all day, you've seen it as soon as I've seen it. So the first number that was talked about, someone asked about a $300,000 home. So if we take the current tax residential of 13.94 times 300,000, we come up with $4,174 in taxes. If we take the first scenario we have there at 14.246 per thousand, $300,000 home times 14.246 comes up to $4,273.80. There's a difference of $99.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, we
did that.
just-
Did you do that? I'm sorry, I was engrossed with this.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it at
You
400,000,
did
so
400,
it's
yeah. So-
133, 167, and 159.
Okay.
For the three scenarios.
I think the other thing, I hear what John's saying, but I think the other thing to not lose sight of is that the tangibles depreciate. So I think if we were gonna look at it, we need to know how much new investment has actually taken place in the tangible category. Because that's really who's gonna feel the biggest hit, right? If we haven't had, I mean, I'm not worried about like a, whatever,
National
Rhode Island
Grid.
Energy or
Right.
like a CVS, they're billion-dollar companies. They can easily afford the dollar increase, right? I mean, the National Grid isn't gonna, or the Rhode Island Energy is just gonna say, we're gonna pick up all of our stuff and move. It's just not feasible, at least in the immediate future. That's like Disney World saying, we're gonna pick up and move. I mean, that stuff's planted in there. So, you know, I think we would need to know how much of the tangible is new investment that this could have a significant impact on. If you were to say it's a ton, then I think it's a serious conversation we could look at, but this, I mean, the tangibles depreciate. I mean, so it's not like it's a fixed number every year. Eventually, it could be, it's gonna go down, right? So it may not be a full dollar increase, a one-to-one, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And that's why we were asking about, National Grid, well, Rhode Island
Whatever they call it,
Energy,
Narragansett
again,
Energy.
yeah, right, because we wanted to know if there's something coming down the pike, no pun intended, that they're gonna be putting up new poles, or they're putting in any additional infrastructure. I mean, that would help us in terms of revenue, right?
Yeah, they disagreed to help us with that.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. I asked them for it, if they could provide any type of tangible information. They said no.
It's nice to know. So we have,
No idea what we're
They-
paying for that what they're paying for that substation.
They have what they have currently, but nothing, they have no
Nothing
forecast.
future, like if they had things.
Whether they have it or not is
Mm,
different story, but
mm.
I was told they don't have it, so they can't provide it. So I can provide the emails too later
so
on.
how are we ever supposed to like hold them accountable if we don't even know what they're supposed to be
You
paying?
hire a consultant to come in and take a look at it, a very qualified consultant.
That seems a little,
It's money, but it could be money well spent.
If I had to guess, I think, Tony, you put me on one of those emails.
Yeah, right now we're just waiting on, at this point, in terms of that subject, we're just waiting on Peter to respond back to the meeting that we have planned for Thursday.
I think what they were trying to say is, I'm sure they have some internal document, but they tried to say, I think that, and to summarize what Tony was saying, was that because they have to present capital improvements every year to the state, they don't really look that far into the future in terms of what they would want to share. I think that's what I took it as. But again, how do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we think about the three scenarios? Are we in agreement that the second one is not what, we're not as interested in that one, or?
I think if I had to choose, I would go with the first one.
So just to
Okay.
let you know, intangibles from last year's gross assessed value to this year's, there was a decrease of $598,000.
That's, okay, that's very good to know. Yeah, so,
I just don't want to send the wrong message. I understand that. Believe me, I'm more sympathetic towards for the homeowners, but I don't want to I just don't want to send the wrong message to businesses that are looking at, granted, maybe a business won't move as a result of it, but maybe a business won't come in also as a result of a high tax. So I just want to, I don't want to be the unfriendly community, unfriendly business community, you know?
I hear what you're saying, and
but the commercial rate is.
yeah, I
more.
agree. I mean, I think we should probably know how we favor in terms of commercial rates across the state. I think we did it a few years ago, but maybe it's time again to look at how our
Yeah, that
rates,
would
right?
help.
And if
Right.
maybe we spend the next year, if we settle on option one and we say, you know, look, it's feasible for this year, given everything that's out there in the economy, but maybe over the next year, we actually look at how do we become more pro-business and bring in more business and new development, and so that next budget season, you know, maybe there's more commercial revenue to deal with. It's not all, you know, we have to put the burden on the residential.
Do you have any information on other surrounding communities for the tax rates generally? Like off the top of your head, like Barville, Smithfield?
Just commercial.
Well, yeah, if you have any of them.
I know that they were asking everyone to provide their new rates for this year,
Yeah.
and as a whole, they haven't seen a decrease. Either they've stayed the same
Mm-hmm.
or they've increased. As specifics, I don't have that, but I can get that.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can look it up really quick, right?
So you said the tangibles in value went down 598,000, right?
Yes.
So if I'm doing that right, it's like $600, right? Between the difference of the current tax rate and if we do the proposed first one. It's like $600, right? Because you're
In-
taking you're taking the value of 598,000
Do you wanna know
times
the,
the
do you want to know the tax difference if we go with option one?
No, I'm just saying, if I'm taking the 4363
Mhm.
times 598, and then I took the current one, the 4262 times 598, and got those two numbers, the difference is $605. So that would be taxes, right?
Yes. But, hold on.
Right?
Yeah, 'cause that's the gross assessment.
Well, the value.
Oh, the difference.
The difference, right, because
I think
one is
you're right.
26,000, one's 25,400, so
You
the
and I,
difference
yeah,
is
I agree.
$605,
$600. I
right?
thought you were talking total.
Yeah.
It's
Is that
$600,000.
right? Yeah.
That's correct.
So it's a difference of $600 that we would be lowering our tax roll by.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm
yes.
saying?
Yep, I
Okay.
get you. I thought you
I
meant.
know, it probably didn't come out what I was trying to say.
Sorry.
So according to this, there's a, real estate, their real estate in Smithfield, for instance, is 19 cents.
but Real estate?
Mhm.
And then you have to
Their
look at the
increase?
assessed values too, though. I mean, it's,
Yeah, there's,
It's a-
difference in assessed.
Well, it's per 100.
But Smithfield also has a lot more business and.
Right.
Would bring them $800,000 if they left it at that.
So even if we went with the option one, with the decreased tangible value, the taxes would be lower.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
modified or accelerated depreciation, depending on what you use it.
Kim, can you explain that? What do you mean, the taxes?
So, I know. So I took the tangible new tax rate, proposed tax rate of 43.632.
Yeah,
And I took the 598,000 that she said our intangibles decreased by since last year.
okay.
So that gave me 25,486. And then I took the personal property tax of 4262 from last year times the 598. And that gave me the 26. Yeah, 26 because our tangibles decreased. So the difference is like $600 in taxes.
Oh, so you're saying even with the increase, we still get less? We're still
Right, the
taxed?
taxes would go
Right.
down
Right.
$600.
Even though the rate may have gone up.
Because
Right.
the rate went up, but the tangibles decreased almost 600,000.
Okay,
So even though their rate's up, the value is down.
I understand.
Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes,
So here's the, this is the state municipal information.
Well, some places don't even have to do that. Where we have a.
So we could also tweak that 14.246. You could put a little bit more on, if you want to reduce the real estate, Doug, you could add a penny, half a penny, quarter of a penny, to commercial.
I mean, we seem to be in line with other communities
We
our
are.
size.
we're in line.
Yeah, we are.
You know, because you look at Cumberland, even though they have more business than us, but they're at 14.99.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, Exeter's 13.94, so,
Moving 19.1 up to here, moving this down here and keeping that somewhere level because of the 1.5.
and Exeter is straight across the same rate they do there.
So
Yes.
if we went with
Same
number
rate.
one, that's in line with what's out there right now? The way you saying?
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, you can give a couple, like, what did you just say for, like, say Cumberland, and then maybe,
Cumberland and then South Kingstown, I believe. No, they're lower. One of the Kingstowns, North North Kingstown is like right around the same as us.
What is it?
They're 1406.
14.2.
Tiverton's 1463. I mean, and this is last year, so, you know, they're actually higher, so.
I can forward you, the list that she's creating. Like, obviously, budgets are still getting approved in some towns. But the list she sent me, I can forward it to you, but it's showing an increase or staying the same overall.
For
An increase in what?
what?
Commercial, tangible, residential,
Across the board.
all of them?
Well, we're within the range of what other communities are charging for similar communities and similar services, I guess. So I think I would go with the first one. That would be my vote. So that would translate to approximately, give or take, $133 additional tax increase on a home based on 400,000. Which is, like John said, easy to find, right? Easy to find that,
Smithfield.
that
they're,
price of a house.
Right, oh,
That's
yeah.
realistic,
Yeah,
right? I
it
mean,
is like the highest in the
like,
state,
yeah.
you will find that.
Well, North Providence is like 65, but. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Anybody have any more discussion or questions?
I'll go along with that.
With what? What's that?
Number one.
I mean, 33 cents is really pretty good considering all the extra stuff we put in the budget this year. We have $800,000 for roads, you know, there's quite a few other things that we put in there that, so.
Okay.
Does anyone want to make a motion if there's no more discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve option one, which would set the residential commercial rate. Oh, is this the actual or is this like an approximate?
No, it's actually.
Actual, okay, set the residential commercial rate at 14.246, the commercial at 19.399, and the tangible at 43.632.
That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes,
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you, team members.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, there's always,
No matter what you do.
no matter what you do, but I think we all really want to do the right thing, and I think we got as close to that as we can. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay.
All right, so the next one is to continue with executive session that we didn't finish yesterday. Discussion by council vote or other action pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-465A2. Sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. 1, Rhode Island Superior Court, case number PC 2022-00446. Bel Air Realty LLC, Anthony J. DELVICARIO versus Town of North Smithfield Zoning Board of Review. Robert NAJARIAN in his capacity as chairman of the Town of North Smithfield Zoning Board of Review. Scott Martin in his capacity as vice chairman of the Town of North Smithfield Zoning Board of Review. Paul PASQUARIELLO in his capacity as a member of the Town of North Smithfield Zoning Board of Review. Michael AMALFITANO in his capacity as a member of the Town of North Smithfield Zoning Board of Review. Gail DENOMME in her capacity as a member of the Town of North Smithfield Zoning Board of Review. Cynthia DeJesus in her capacity as Town Treasurer for the Town of North Smithfield. Town of North Smithfield as a municipal entity, case number PC 2022-00446. And potential litigation regarding the town retirement funds. That's a motion.
And B.
Huh? Oh, B, sorry. And discussion by council vote or other action pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-465A5. Any discussions or considerations related to the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes or of the disposition of publicly held property wherein advanced public information would be detrimental to the interest of the public.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.